Hi, this is Monica Packer from About Progress, and you're listening to The Messy Middle, a monthly series where I share some of my own messy middle so you can see what progress looks like for a real woman in real time. Welcome to April, everybody. I always do these messy middles by segments, and we begin with what's happening, where I share what's going on in the Packer household. March was a lot of fun, but also pretty darn busy. And it's only going to pick up from here, especially in the spring season, which I told you how I was already thinking about it last month. It's already here. There were a lot of fun things this past month, from some plays and a concert that I got to go to, and I'll share more about that in a little bit. But mostly just lots of life things and trying to get things done, mingled with a toddler who will not nap. So my work time has been very limited and it's been rough in all caps, but there's some silver linings as well. I'm also beginning to prep for spring cleaning. I have been realizing I've just been carrying around this list in my head about all the things we need to do, from cleaning out the garage to taking the tarps off the garden to getting the garden ready to pruning to weeding and things like in the house, things that need to be deep cleaned and organized, and like the garage and the mudroom. See, I'm doing it right now. I need to get it all out on a piece of paper. So I'm just telling you now, that's what I'm carrying around, but I'm going to put it all out on a paper so we can just slowly, one thing at a time, start checking things off instead of me constantly being worried about what we need to do. One thing at a time, right? Something else that happened is I hired a handyman. I actually had two come. I did it through Ace Hardware Handyman. I just Googled handyman in my area and they were really top rated. I really loved working with them if that is something you have been thinking about in the Salt Lake Valley. And they came to repair a hole in the drywall we've had for a year, almost a year. I don't know if you remember this or if I even told you guys, but a year ago, and this is a kind of an abrupt switch in topic, but a year ago when my then 6-year-old had a tonsillectomy and then almost died. Do you guys remember that? How terrifying was that? The day after, so like Sunday, he almost died. We got back very late Sunday night from the hospital from a second emergency surgery. And then we were back Sunday night. Monday morning, Brad went off to a business trip that he couldn't reschedule very early in the morning. And midway through the day, I was going to go get him out of bed. You know, he's nice and comfy, cozy, recovering from surgery again. And I was going to go get myself some Cubbies, like my favorite salad. And I went into his room and there was an inch of water all at the bottom of his bed, or his bedroom. And anyway, long story short is I did not disconnect the water hose that connects to the outside of the house, but the water pipes on the inside obviously still go. But the trickle of water from the hose had frozen and expanded the pipe and it had burst. And since I had turned on the hose earlier that morning or something outside, or the water on the outside, it just had gone everywhere. And so because of that, you know, we had an emergency plumbing thing, but we've had a hole in our drywall for almost a year. And I keep telling myself, oh, I'm going to do that. I can figure it out. It's not that big of a square. Like, I just need to find drywall online. And I kept doing that, like on Facebook Marketplace, like trying to look for if people were giving drywall remnants and stuff like that. And I finally just owned, you know what? I can't do it. I'm going to have a professional do it. So that's what the handyman came and did. I still need to paint over it, but it looks so great, way better than if I had tried to fix it. And then another handyman from their team came to fix another part of what happened from that flood. We have LVP flooring, luxury vinyl plank flooring in the basement, which I'm so glad we had because we've already had 2 little floods there and it's so much easier to clean up. But so the floors were easy to dry, but the water went underneath the flooring into the next room where we have tile in our laundry room, and it messed with the mortar underneath the tile. So we had one tile pop up and it's like right in front of the washer, and my feet were always getting hurt by it. I'm sure my kids were too. And it just bothered me for a year. Luckily, it's only been one, but the second handyman came and fixed that tile for us, just that single tile. And I still need to grout it. That's one of the things I'm like, I'll paint it, I'll grout, I can do those things. I'll save a little bit of money, but it's been such a relief to have those things taken care of. And we're thinking about other things we need to take care of in terms of hiring people for like irrigation. I think that's basically it, like irrigation. And a dresser that we've had broken for about 5 years in our main room that we need to replace. So stuff like that, like it feels actually good. I know I've said I'm carrying around all the stress, but it feels good to be making progress in some things, on some bigger home tasks. And yeah, there's more updates to come as I share more as we go. But let me share the highs and lows of March. The highs are twofold. One is that I got to see Les Miserables, not once, but twice. The first one I had booked with my to go with my oldest daughter and my second oldest son. My oldest, she is obsessed with Les Miserables. There's something about it that she really, really loves. My second oldest isn't super into Les Mis, but he loves theater. I made him do the school play. Oh, actually, that's part of what's happening is his school play, which was so much fun to see. He did a great job. Anyway, so I thought he'd want to go, but he ended up having rehearsal for his play and he couldn't miss that. So I went with my daughter and my younger sister who did Les Mis in high school and it was her first time seeing it. And it was so phenomenal. If you get to see the touring Les Miserables production going on right now, you need to go. It was maybe the best performance I've ever seen on the stage, but for sure the best Les Mis. I think it's the fourth Les Mis I've seen a production of. So it was so phenomenal that when I got home, I found out you can apply for a lottery ticket that they do online. It's luckyseats.com. And this is across the country. You search by location, then you search for the theater, and then you basically sign up for the show you want and the available times and the times you're available for. And we got great seats. I didn't know how lucky we got because other people who said they also run the lottery were like up at the very top and we were down on the main level on row K. And actually halfway through, I asked the ticket office if we could move up even closer up because there were still some seats on the side near the front. And I am so glad we got to do that because I think I need glasses and we got to see even closer and it was just magical. So seeing Les Mis twice was phenomenal. My son's performance, also a high. And the third high just happened this past week is I went to a concert with Brad and my oldest daughter again. It was her first concert she's ever seen. And it's The Rocket Summer with Bryce Avery is the main singer. And, he is phenomenal. This is a 20-year anniversary tour of his album, Hello, Good Friend. And he plays the whole album. And then he plays like one or two other new things and some more stuff at the end. That's the good stuff. That's the album. His more recent stuff, I'm not as big a fan of, like maybe the last 10 years, but it was such a great concert. And my daughter blew me away because she knew the words to every single song and I didn't even know she knew them. So it was fun to go to her first concert and he was a great performer. And the lows are, well, let's just say it's the main one. It's that my toddler has continued his nap strike and now we're on like week 6. He did nap twice this week. And after I record this, I'm going to go down and try to put him down. He napped twice this week because I figured out he can get out of the crib. And so he starts playing around his room and I'm worried he's going to get hurt. So I end up back in there and rocking him and he won't sleep sometimes and most of the time. And sometimes he will on me. But twice I've gotten him to sleep back in his crib again, as long as he had a book to read. And then he like read himself to sleep and he's not really reading. He doesn't know how to read. He's 2. So that worked twice, but it's been some silver linings. I love spending more time with him. I love cuddling him. I love rocking him. One time I read a book while I was rocking him. I'm trying to think of like, if this continues, maybe I can try to work while I'm rocking him. I don't know. But, it's also been challenging because that's 6 hours of my work time a week and it's taken a significant hit to what I've been able to do. So if I haven't showed up much on social media, that's why. So let's pray he can nap again because I don't know how maybe I'll just have to quit Instagram until he starts napping or he gets into preschool, who knows. So that was the What's Happening segment. The next segment is the DSL update. DSL stands for Do Something List. It is something that changes lives. It's changed my life. And we have a free training for you. It's a way for you to explore who you are again in ways that aren't about goals and resolutions. You can get the free training at aboutprogress.com/DSL. And I actually am in the middle of, I did a whole growth spurt in March where I shared my DSL and I told you, here's where you can go. Like, here's the URL to find my DSL without realizing that on my new site, I can't do a URL that way. So anyway, this is my way of saying I'm coming up with the redirect so it will work and I will put that in the show notes for you and it will be corrected and right. So you can see the full Do Something list I have for this year. But one of the biggest things is go out and get culture at events. And I went to 3 of those, actually 4, if we're going to count my son's play, which I will, in March alone, which is so fun. Baking has been going really well. I've so far made at least one new thing each month. This month alone, I made soft sourdough rolls, and I also made focaccia, and that was such a winner that I made that twice. One of the things is I want to do some arts and crafts projects. Mainly, I want to start with sewing. So I've been watching some YouTube videos and trying to get some more education on that, but just here and there. It's not super focused yet. And I've also been researching sewing machines, but my mom had the idea that maybe my tension is just what's broken in my old sewing machine. So I'm going to pull that out and try to fix that first. And if it doesn't work, then I'll get a sewing machine off Facebook Marketplace. I have a couple I have my eye on. So that's coming up. Home projects. One of my do something list items was to do one major home project a month. January ended up being a month of organization, and same with February. Or did I do something else in February? I can't remember. March has been about getting my boys' room done. So that's partly why I did the fill the hole in the drywall. Another thing I got is a dresser. Short story on that. I have painted many a dresser in my time, like where I just get a dresser from a thrift store and I paint it and make it all really nice. And that's worked well in the past. It's just a lot of work. So this time I was like, I'm going to buy still one off Facebook Marketplace. So it's not as expensive, but it's still really sturdy and well built. So it's not like fake wood. Because they just don't last as long, which is why Brad's and I's dresser has been broken for so many years, because it's an IKEA dresser. It did last for a long time until it broke, but we're going on year 17 of it. So anyway, I want something that's going to last a really long time, but be bigger for my boys because they just grew out of their small dresser I'd painted years and years ago for my other kids. So I was like, okay, I'm still going to buy one off there. So it's solid, well made, but I'm not going to paint it this time. And I got one, and that means you pay a little more than if you were to buy it and paint it yourself, but you're not going to pay as much for a new, really nice full wood dresser somewhere else. And when we got it, we realized it was matte paint. So she lowered the price a little bit because I'm like, I think that's going to show things pretty easily, like, right? And she said yes. And she's like, she recommended I do just like a little coating on it, like the polyurethane, I think. Anyway, so I've done that so many times, so I just decided to do it again. Well, I messed it up, and I messed it up bad. Like, it looks streaky, and every time I would sand it and do it again, and I finally decided, okay, I'll just roll it, and I used the wrong roller, and there were bubbles all over the dresser. So I ended up having to sand it down and color match the paint, which it didn't color match, so I ended up having to paint the whole dresser again. But because there was still that nice paint underneath that, I didn't sand it down to the wood, I tried to sand off the bubbles, and it sanded off some of the paint, but I didn't have to prime it again or sand it all the way and stuff like that. So that it still wasn't as hard, but I've painted it and now it's going to be ready to be moved down. So the next project on the list is I'm either thinking of tiling the laundry room, which I've had the tile since before we moved in. It was one of the ways we tried to save money. I think that's going to be next on the list. That, or either Brad's office, which needs a revamp, or another son's bedroom, which has needed one too. So I got paint for both of those rooms. So I may start on one of those sooner and try to figure out some tile issues first, or maybe plot out the tile. So that was the long update for home projects. Clair de Lune is another thing I'm trying to learn on the piano. I haven't practiced that as much this month, but I did get a piano book with Coldplay songs in it. And I think as I play those, then I'll be able to transition over to Clair de Lune and play that too. And the Read the Shelf Challenge, you should listen to More Personal, my private premium podcast for supporters, for the Supporters Club, where I give you a full update on that. But I am doing better. I'm slowly catching up on what I missed in February when the baby stopped napping. Officially, and it's still hard, and that's what I'm going to talk about next in Make It a Habit. In this segment, I talk about habits that are going well and some that are not. Overall, a lot of my habits are feeling really good and stable and supportive. I feel like day planning is saving me, even if I hate doing it. Meal planning too. So many others are just going. Actually, let's just start with what's going well. I'm back to waking up early. Daylight savings nearly killed me. I am still yawning all the time because I'm getting used to it, but I'm back to my early wake up time, which you will hear more about in next Monday's episode. Last month, I told you that my Friday chores were not going well. So I've switched it up. And instead of doing all my chores on Friday, I have been mopping my floors on Thursday evening and then cleaning the bathroom on Friday. And that's going better. It's not perfect though, but I think I'm working on it, so it's better. What's not going so well right now is still reading. I bring books with me wherever I go. I try to read. Yesterday afternoon, like all the kids were playing in the backyard, so I sat down in front of the door so I could watch them because they were playing with my toddler. And I made a paragraph and I had to run out. And then I came back in and read another paragraph and I had to run out and just be like, okay, nope, I just need to be out here. That's kind of how it goes. And with him not napping at all, and he's a total tornado. I have to watch him at every second for every moment of the day. He's up on counters, he's in things, and toddlers are like that, but he is extra toddlery that way, but he's also extra sweet and very cute. So it makes up for it. But just because of that, it's just tougher that way, and reading isn't going so well. So I'm thinking about reserving Saturday and Sunday afternoons for just reading and telling myself, put down the projects, put down the cleaning, put down the work, and sit down and read for yourself. That's the goal. That's it for Make It a Habit. The next segment is the Book Watch. In this segment, I share how it's going with the book I am writing. I'm proud to say that I'm almost done with part 3, and that is putting me almost halfway through writing the book. And that's just the first get it all out round. I'm sure there's going to be many, many rounds of writing and editing to follow. But I have a big pivot coming, and this goes with one of the updates I alluded to earlier. I told you last month that I hired a coach, Miranda Anderson. You may know her from Live Free Creative and also the podcast Practically Happy. And I hired her because she has self-published a book, and also I just needed her guidance in that area and other things that are going on with my business right now. And she gently but firmly pushed me to think about why I am going to the self-published route almost right away and not even considering traditional publishing. And I realized in talking to her that it all comes down to me feeling like I don't have a chance with traditional publishing. So I'm not even giving myself that chance. So it's almost like I'm failing myself before I can actually fail. And that's pretty antithetical to what I preach here, isn't it? But good to note in myself. And as we were talking, like I truly felt it in my brain and in my body, like, I do need to try this. I need to try the traditional publishing route. And if I don't get there, and if I get declined, if I don't find a book agent and I don't find a publisher, that will be okay, because I now know how to self-publish. I've taken so many online workshops for it. I have Miranda on my side and I can move through that. I also have an editor that is pretty much lined up too. So I could do that on my own, but I think I'm ready to challenge myself and do the publishing route, the traditional publishing route first. And what that means is you need to write a proposal. And a proposal is basically your book, but in a 50 to 70 page version of it, where you pitch yourself, you share your credibility, you share similar titles, you share about your marketing plan, and then you share an outline of the book and a couple samples of your chapters and all of that. And when you hear proposal, you're like, oh, just a couple pages. No, it's a lot, and it's very overwhelming. I've been looking at samples of proposals and listening to podcasts on them, and it's a big deal. And what Miranda recommended is what I'm going to do. She said, pause the writing and devote your writing time to writing the proposal, because how it works with the traditional publishing and with nonfiction, you don't write the book first. You actually get the book sold first based off of your proposal and what you're planning on writing. And then you finish writing the book or write the book in its entirety. So that's what I'm going to do. And it's scary, but I weirdly feel good about it. And now it's time to do the messy work of writing that proposal and then starting to look for a book agent. So if you know one or are one, let me know. And one last thing to say about traditional publishing. One of the reasons why I wanted to go the self-publishing route is because it's much faster. And I reasonably could have a book published early 2026, which was my goal. The traditional publishing will take longer. Much longer, sometimes years longer. So that's kind of the scary part too, but I still feel like it's the right thing for me to pursue for now, and then I can decide with self-publishing as things move on. So that's it for the book watch. Next up is what I'm loving lately. I have some great things for you. First is Wonder Skin's long-lasting eyeliner. Merrick's Art shared about this maybe a month ago, or a month and a half even, and I bought one and loved it so much that I bought 2 or 3 other colors. It truly is long lasting, and it goes on very smooth, but it stays in ways that I didn't realize my other eyeliners weren't. And I'm an eyeliner girl. I wear eyeliner, but I don't wear eyeshadow unless it's Sunday. And on Sundays, I don't wear eyeshadow either. So it's really important that it stays on. So that's the main look for me. And sometimes I've been doing more of like a cat eye even. Not like super dramatic, but it's kind of fun. So Wonder Skin Long Lasting Eyeliner. The next thing I'm loving lately is Sourdough Focaccia. And I have this out of a cookbook that I should link to you. I'm sorry, I don't know off the top of my head, but my friend gave it to me, so that's why I can't search my Amazon or other orders to see where it's from. But it's just sourdough focaccia. I've made it for my big entire family, meaning all my siblings and their kids, and it's like gone in seconds. It's really easy to make focaccia. You don't have to spend a lot of time stretching and folding. It's like no need. It's very easy, but very delicious. So one of the things we've made it into is focaccia pizza too, based off of female foodie Brooke. She's been on the show. She has a recipe on focaccia pizza that like I was drooling over. So I just turned my sourdough my sourdough focaccia recipe into focaccia pizza, and it was delightful. Finally, some books. I have read some great books the past month. That was one thing that was going well. Iona Iverson's Rules for Commuting by Claire Pooley is very, very good. I love it. Is everything set in Britain that I love? I believe so. It's set there. I'll tell more about it in my book report episode coming up for more personal. And another book is When in Rome by Sarah Adams. It's just the perfect rom-com without being too spicy. And it's kind of like if Taylor Swift basically fell in love with someone in a small town. That's it for what I'm living lately. Next up is On My Mind. On my mind right now, just some struggles with some kids. And I'm not going to get super personal about it, except to say there's one kid in particular that hasn't been making great choices, and it's pretty impulse heavy, which is not a surprise for this child, but it's something that I am concerned over and trying to think through, and trying to consider maybe some more professional guidance on how to assist them, because there's a lot of life ahead, and I really want it to be a life where it's not based off of bad decisions and also reputation built with that. So that's something that's really on my mind. That's it. Next up is About Progress's progress. In the segment, I share how we're doing as a business. Since last year was our make it or break it year, let's see how we're doing. Right now, let's give you a supporters club update. As of recording, we're at 169 supporters, which is great. More people joined us to listen to the deep dives that I've done the past 2 months on GLP-1s. By the way, those deep dives almost killed me. Countless hours went into them. And it's stressful hours because it's such a tricky topic. Weight loss in particular is just tricky, right? So I'm really proud of the finished products, and I've been hearing from you that you have really liked them too, and that has been so edifying. People have been saying it was such a fair but gentle take, nuanced, really informative, but also thought-provoking. So I'm so glad to hear that's the feedback, and I just released the second part of that 2-part episode series, and I'd love for you to listen. We're also going to do the hiking club soon. We did this last spring and summer. We're going to do it again. We also did a garden party last summer, so I'm planning those things out. I taught a workshop this past month for the supporters on how to dream again, and it was like heart-stabbingly good. And I'm going to open that up to the public and teach a public version of that next month. So do consider joining us in the Supporters Club. The supporters make my work with About Progress free and available to all. And without them, we wouldn't be around right now. We literally would not be able to be here on About Progress. So sign up at aboutprogress.com/support. Other news and updates in general, I am feeling pretty lost and stuck on Instagram right now. And I think it's just because I haven't had the bandwidth or the time to devote to it, but it's mostly also down to me feeling a little insecure there. I took some major risks last year that didn't pan out with my content, and I'm trying to reconsider where to go from here, how to pivot. I'm considering a big pivot, have some ideas that could be really fun or really disastrous. And I think I just need to sit down and strategize and try. So that's a thing there. More workshops are coming. Like I said, I'm going to be teaching the How to Dream Again workshop to the public in April and May. I'm going to teach a workshop on how to prepare for the best summer of your life, which is going to be really practical, but also really fun. So stay tuned for those. And if you can, please follow us on YouTube right now. It's especially important. We're getting closer to hitting the standards we need to hit in order to qualify for ads there. And it comes down to how many people are subscribed, which we're like 170 away, so not too much. But another part is that we need a lot of listening hours. So if you can follow there and watch there, that would be great. Before we wrap this up, I need to share the review of the month. This is from the reviewer, Kristen K.L. Chan. If this is you, you can email me at hello@aboutprogress.com and I'd love to send you a thank you gift. She wrote, I usually don't write many reviews, but I felt the push to write another review for this podcast. Thank you, Kristen, because it's so good and helps me know I'm not alone. Monica's recent coaching call, I believe episode 675, was so powerful and helped me recognize I can have a baseline with all tasks and still come up on top and succeed. Monica shares how after you've reached your baseline to celebrate and how your baseline should be laughable because it's so easy. I now have this written. I am persistent. I keep trying on a sticky note on the front of my cupboard that I look at daily. Every time I see it, it makes me smile, especially the recovering perfectionist, people pleaser in me. Everyone should take a moment and listen to this podcast. Kristen, thank you so very much for leaving that review. Again, email me at hello@aboutprogress.com. And the episode she's referring to is the one I did with a progressor named Alicia on how to transition your habits in moments of transition. And as part of that, how to know if a baseline is baselining enough. It was a great conversation. I'm so glad it was helpful to you. That's it for today's Messy Middle. As a reminder, you can always support the show for free by listening, sharing, and leaving reviews, and subscribing and watching on YouTube right now. Thank you so much for listening. I hope listening to my messy middle gives you the courage to lean into your own messy middle today.